Mango, thank you for joining in. This is also going to be entered into the Forge Safe for Good once we have the funds to do it. I'm just getting the wet palette ready. Christina Martin, thank you for joining us, and thank you for the follow. I appreciate it. So we are doing a charity event called Forge Safe for Good, which is found on Lord of the Unfinished Paints uh, or Unfinished Projects page. And what the gift goal up there, the Tiny Dinies, is when we reach that, the total amount is being donated to Forge Safe for Good for pancreatic cancer. We're also right up here doing one for strictly American Cancer Society. Rebecca Mendoza, thank you for joining us. And then I'll show the first model we did. This is the first one we did for the miniature painting competition. This is how it turned out. And that's for the diorama. This one's going to be for the single miniature. But yeah, I mean, we're trying to raise money for pancreatic cancer awareness. That's the big goal. And then we are also just trying to make sure that we can raise money for cancer as a whole. You got the Mechanicum. Wow, can I talk today? Battle Box today? That's nice. I'm still working solely on my Tyranids. That's the main goal here. We've decided on what everything's going to be color-wise. So, for instance, the actual inner wings here are going to be green. But if you look, the membrane right there actually is connected. So I'm going to actually blend green and red together. It's going to be a little messy, but we're going to blend that together right there and have it as like a flat line going up. Thank you. You might hear Toy Story 2 in the background as well. That's what Little Man was watching before I decided to go live. Big Daddy Dragon, thank you for joining us. Giuseppe, thank you for the likes. I appreciate it. We are supporting the fight for cancer in multiple ways. First, you got the Tiny Dinies right up here. I did not. This so far has been completely hand painted besides the actual priming. That was done with rattle can. Turn to Dust, thank you for joining us. So we are using Army Painters, the original set. of army painters, mind you. So it's not going to be as broad of a transition between colors as if this was the Fanatics line. But as you can see, we're still getting a good color proportion there. The only other part that was not rattle canned when it came to priming was the dry brush of gray we put on there. I appreciate that, Dragon. At first I was like, hang on, what's he saying about my skill? I don't even know what you're talking about. Then I realized what you were talking about. After we painted or after we primed it in white, we systematically layered washes on top of it. And what that does is it gives a nice transition. You can see it better on the back. Trust me, I want to win. So the diorama prize for the miniature painting competition for Fort Safe for Good is the 50 set of Fanatics. If I win that, that is definitely being used because I've been wanting that line since they announced it. I appreciate that. We still got a long way to go, but it's going to be worth it. And if you guys are wanting to know how you can support Fort Safe for Good, there's 2 ways you can or 3 ways you can support it directly, regardless if you want to join the competition or not. The first way is to gift the Tiny Dinies. For every Tiny Diny we get, once we reach that goal, that is being donated to Fort Safe for Good. I did check. Currently, we have $5 built up. So that's really good. I know it doesn't sound like a lot, but $5 to be donated is $5 to be donated, in my opinion. It's better than none. And then the other ways you can donate, Christina, thank you for joining us, is you can go onto our page. We have a direct link to Fort Safe for Good there in our reposts. And it actually gives directions on how to donate for Fort Safe for Good. And then we also have directions on prizes that you'll get for the miniature painting competition and what you can expect theme-wise for the competition, everything like that. We definitely made it easy if you want to participate. BD, thank you for joining. And thank you for the likes. Pete and Print, thank you for joining us. We are raising money for charity like we have for the past few lives. We're going to keep doing that for a while as well. And then another way you can help donate to Fort Safe for Good is for every commission that I do that goes through my Patreon, or let me rephrase that, my Etsy, 50% is donated to Fort Safe for Good. If you say reach out to me directly in a DM saying, hey, I want a commission done, that gets 25% donated after cost of materials. And then the other way that you can support Fort Safe for Good is through our Patreon. With our Patreon, for everyone that subscribes to it. 50% of your monthly subscription is donated directly to Fort Safe for Good. That's what we got so far. Peter, thank you for joining and thank you for the likes. And if you're not sure about donating to Fort Safe for Good, what you can also do, if you do want to donate some to charity, is that little button at the top where it says American Cancer Society. You can donate directly to there as well. Fort Safe for Good is the miniature painting competition we've entered for pancreatic cancer currently. It's the one we've been promoting for, I want to say about 2 weeks now, 2-3 weeks. And we painted this figure for the diorama portion. Yeah, once we reach that goal of 110 tiny dinies, that and the $5 we earned from one of our prior lives is being donated directly to Fort Safe for Good in everybody that donated's name. So how we're going to do that is we're going to just mark it as the Scarecrow Community donation. Jordan Phillips, thank you for joining us. We are painting our new figure that we're going to be putting in the Fort Safe for Good miniature painting competition. When I get my next paycheck, that is when I'm going to be donating this figure directly to Fort Safe for Good, or donating to include this figure into the single miniature category. This way we have one figure in each category. Even if we don't win, we've at least helped with awareness of pancreatic cancer, and we've done a little bit of a difference. Peter, I appreciate all the likes. Minnie Gedden, thank you for joining us. So we have decided to include the Hive Tyrant into the competition. Mini Geddon, for those of you that do not know, is another miniature painter. That's a scarecrow. Nice. I was thinking of that, but I was like, you know what? That would be too ironic. They wouldn't take it seriously. Uh, so we're definitely going grimdark. Um, Same way that we've done, because this is still going to go uh, into our army. So it's still going to take the same fleet or the same fleet coloring. Only difference is when we get down here on these scythe blades, I'm going to have blood dripping down the scythes. And then his tongue is obviously going to have drool. The wings are going to be green on the membrane. And then in between where the membrane and the red meet, I can show you. That's going to be a mix of green and red, a 1-to-1. And then what's going to happen with that, since it's going to be a 1-to-1, is it's going to mix pretty well together. Yeah, I didn't plan that. Like you saw, I was honestly planning on doing that Frankenstein, but I was like, you know what? I don't know if it's going to come in time. I don't want to miss out on doing something for the single miniature. I really don't have that much that I could classify as spooky because I got this. I got this figure right here that's kind of spooky that I still got to paint up. And then I got a werewolf back there that's not really that detailed. Which thing? This one? Or the pumpkin beholder? But like I was saying, I didn't want to miss out. Yeah, it did. It really did. And it kills me that I'm not doing it. Maybe eventually we will go and do it on the live. It fits, but this was more of like, let's just slap it together and see what we can do. I'm not a big fan of how the mouth did, and I can't strip it because I did a UV resin on the eye to kind of give it a glare. Because like I would redo that eye in a heartbeat for this competition, but I can't because that resin's already hard. Caleb Bolin, thank you for joining us. But yeah, that definitely did fit the theme. And that was going to be my first thought process. But when I was doing the dragon, when I started stripping, I was like, you know what? How far can I push this? Dragons could be scary, depending on who you are, and spooky. You see a lot of, around where I'm at, one of the biggest Halloween decorations is a inflatable dragon. It's a very popular one around here. So I was like, do I just go ahead and do the dragon? And when I started looking at it, I'm like, you know what? There is a lot of room that I can show my growth here. Tony, thank you for the join. While I do got everyone here, I want to go over what we are doing. So we're paying for Fort Safe for good. Marcos, thank you for joining us. This is the miniature we're entering into the single miniature competition. We already did one for the diorama set, and this is the one we did for the diorama. Let me take a drink real quick. If you are interested in donating, there's multiple ways you can do that through us. First, these tiny dinies up here. When we reach that goal, every bit of that is being donated to Fort Safe for Good for pancreatic cancer. Secondly, if you're wanting to support Fort Safe for Good, specifically our Patreon. With our Patreon, what we're doing right now is every single subscription, and our Patreon's in our bio. For every single subscription, half of your monthly subscription is going to be donated for the next up until January 1st. And then what we are also doing is if you get our if you get a commission through us from our Etsy store, which I believe our Etsy's in our bio as well. It may be in not, but it is in our YouTube bio. If you go to our Etsy store, 50% of that is being donated. If you go to our, or if you decide you want to just reach out to me for a commission, 25% of that is being donated. I'm just trying to get a better angle. I know you guys can't see what I'm doing here, and I'm sorry, but I was trying to get a better angle so I could get that a little bit cleaner. Other ways you can donate is donating directly to Fort Safe for Good through Lord of the Unfinished Projects. What is that called? It's a link tree. So if you're following Lord of the Unfinished Projects, go to that link tree and go there. Or if you're not following him, we have ways to follow him and to find that link tree in our reposts. Another way, and that you don't have to enter the miniature painting competition to donate. You can decide that, hey, I'm just going to donate and go from there. Another way that you could assist us is this little blurb right here. Yes, if you search hashtag Fort Safe for Good, I know I've done multiple videos on it. Geddon, I know, has done one or two, I believe. And Lord of the Unfinished Projects has done multiple videos as well. Jose, thank you for joining us. Hey, you have a good one, Geddon. I'm going to be on for a while, so if you want to hop back in here, hop right back on in. Yeah, give me 1 second to finish unloading this brush. checking everything out. So base-wise, they're probably the same size base-wise, but next to each other, they're about the same size. So you may be able to find it on Miniature Market. That's an old Nosler dragon. It's the young dragon, young red dragon to be more specific. Miniature Market is a great website. Yeah, this is the Hive Tyrant from Warhammer. The Tyranids army of Warhammer. So far, it's been very fun to paint. And a lot of Tyranid armies, you'll see have just like the painters are using airbrushes and everything like that because they're doing wide, broad strokes because it's all one color. And then like the carapace is a different color. Our army is not like that, so we have to take our time a little bit differently. What I mean by our army is not like that is this through here is going to be green. I gotta definitely make sure that I can make that coil around. So look-wise, Giuseppe, yes, it is my favorite faction. I've not actually played yet. This is my first army for it. But from what I've seen, how it plays on YouTube and other places like that, yes, this is probably one of my favorite factions. I am very big into the swarm everything and don't let anything go. So this is the Hive Fleet Hephaestus. This is our custom Hive Fleet. And this is the Hive Tyrant, Ashley. Yeah, as you saw with the Barbagaunt just now, our Hive Fleet is a little bit different. Most Hive Fleets stay one color for the skin, and then the carapace is a different color. Maybe 2 hours, depending on how long it takes. Yes, I actually did choose Hive Fleet Hephaestus. I wanted to make a custom Hive Fleet. But yeah, it really does depend on what model it is. For instance, let me pull out our dragon. So I picked that because I was going down the list of current Hive Fleets that are canon. And I was like, well, Kronos is a Titan. He's not really a he is a villain, but he's a Titan. I wouldn't really consider that a monster. So I was like, you know what? If they are using Titans, I can easily use gods. And Hephaestus is the Greek god of the forge. So he's the one that crafted Zeus's master bolt. He crafted Hades's bident. He crafted who was it? It was Poseidon's trident. Yeah, helmet of darkness as well. Yeah, this is the Hive Tyrant. Ashley. So you know for what to look for? Hades has always been depicted as a bident as his main weapon. He's always had the Helm of Darkness, but he's also had the bident. I believe he got it specifically after the war with the Titans, like right after. But this is going to be our single miniature. And this right here is our the Harpy. Nice. This right here is our diorama miniature. So this has more meaning than just a warrior fighting a dragon. Let me explain. The dragon is representing Cancer, since we are doing a charity since this is a miniature painting competition for charity for Cancer. It represents how destructive Cancer is. It represents how violent it is, how unforgiving it is. The elf that looks like Dritz Doradin, and yes, that is on purpose. I'm going to get out of the way so you can see the detail we put into him. He represents the doctors, the nurses, the friends, the families of patients, the medicine, and most of all, the patients fighting for Cancer, to fight against it. The plagued elf down here that we custom did the fire for, he represents the victims. Those that we have lost, those that we may lose in the future, and those that we are fighting and trying to raise the money for to prevent from this happening. The theme for the competition is spooky, and I really didn't have anything that was really too spooky at the time. I just got this Hive Tyrant, and I didn't know when that was coming in. And I wanted to get my entry painted and good to go so that I wasn't running late on it. So we decided to do the dragon at the time. Dream big, build small. Cam, thank you for joining us. BD, thank you for the likes. I appreciate it. Ashley, I appreciate the likes. We are doing multiple ways to donate as well. So beyond just that little blurb at the top there that says donate to the American Cancer Association, you can gift the Tiny Dinies up top. Once we have that goal reached, that total amount is being donated in the name of the Scarecrow community to Fort Safe for Good. Well, the base is going to be a little bit different. If you look through my if you look through my videos, you'll see what the dragon looked like before. That base was actually hand based with basing material. It should just be like a little it should just be a little blurb of like rock at the very bottom where that plastic part meets. But yeah, I mean it's an old model. That's at least 6 years old. That's one of the first ones that I ever painted. And it was the first one that I stripped. It was the first large model that I had done. And I was happy with it. But as time went on, I was like, you know what? Let's strip it. Let's make it look better. And we accomplished that. I'm looking at that diorama right now, and there isn't a single thing on that diorama that I am not pleased with. When you say you're going to extend on the base, are you talking about with diorama, effect paint like I did? Or are you talking more like you're going to take the base and make it larger? Tammy Nelson, thank you for joining us. Larger footprint. Okay. Yeah, I mean, that's definitely doable with this texture paint. That's exactly what I used. I just took an old dry brush I had, dipped it in there. And it's the same way we've been doing all of our bases for our Tyranid army. The only reason why this one's not like that is because this was mailed to us by Cam Lost. The base will look like the others. It's just going to be slightly different. Still going to have the same texture and everything like that. BD, thank you for joining us. The difficult part on that is going to be the trying to not butt up against this part. That's going to be the hard part when I do the texture paste. I'm definitely going to have to be very careful with that. But one thing we're going to expand on with this figure is I really enjoyed how we did the lava pool on the dragon. So we're going to do similar in the back here. So like this foot is going to have an afterglow effect for the lava. Thank you for the tiny dinies. I appreciate it. Every little bit helps. Oh yeah, how'd that turn out? So this one, I think you're talking about the object source lighting. I think that's what you're referring to. I can definitely show you what I mean by doing that properly because we're going to be doing that with this figure as well. A lot of red on this guy. He's going to have a lot of green too, though. STL Nerd Hub, thank you for joining. Apparently somebody lost their dog. I do apologize for that brief little disturbance, everyone. Take a little scarecrow must have Mama Scarecrow's phone because she's usually popping in by now on our lives. How was everyone's week? I feel like I didn't do enough with you guys this week to actually sit down and talk with y'all. I get that. Well, since it's going to be announced in my work on Monday, I might as well tell everyone this. I received a promotion at work. That's one reason why I haven't been on as much. I've been trying to rectify how I can perform my new position in an effective way. Thank you. I appreciate it. Okay. Yeah. So I mean, this I didn't see your comment about stripping, Dream Big, and there's Mama Scarecrow. Uh, so when you strip a miniature, I use just 91% isopropyl alcohol from Walmart. I put it in a. I gotta clean this out. I put it in a tub. I put the isopropyl alcohol inside of it. Um, and I put enough to where I can soak the miniature and make sure that it's covered. And then once it's covered, I then close the lid and I leave it overnight. Yeah, it should be. Always check with the manufacturer that you're getting it from. So, for instance, if you're uh, doing an STL file, typically they'll tell you if it's okay to be put in isopropyl alcohol, and if not, um, always ask what's a good stripping agent. And then once it's been sitting there soaking for 24 hours, just take an old toothbrush and go at it. Gotta be gentle though. Don't go too hard on it, otherwise you're gonna potentially strip away actual detail. Okay. Um, I would recommend then doing it on a small test area on the miniature that um, is unseen but still painted. Little Scarecrow is being fussy tonight. I can hear Mama Scarecrow in the background talking with her, or talking with him, I should say. Yeah, always look it over. Always try to see if you can find that sweet spot. Because once you find that sweet spot, that's when the money starts happening. And it doesn't have to be the 91%. You can get the 70% isopropyl alcohol. I've used that before. I've used just a regular stripping agent before. It all just comes down to how the miniature was manufactured. Um, and it definitely comes down to, is there any defects with the plastic? If you got a lot of cracks, that's going to sit there. Mark, thank you for joining. Glad to hear that you've denatured. I fully get that. I've ended up having to do that several times. Thought we finished those over there. Huh. This is what we got so far, though. Isopropyl alcohol is too strong for it, even at 70%. If isopropyl alcohol is too strong for it, then I'm not sure what could be used. Because I mean, all isopropyl alcohol is rubbing alcohol. It's like whenever you get a wound, get injured, and you have a wound, that's literally all that is. Denatured alcohol. Yeah, you don't want to use whiskey or anything like that. No, you don't want to do that. Like I was saying, you definitely don't want to do that. It might leave some. I've never tried it. There's always that person that's like, you know what, screw it, I'm going to try it. You can always be that person. I'm more along the line of if it works, it works. For example, like I talk about a lot of the times, priming. Here lately, you see a lot of people giving others flack for zenithal priming. And in my opinion, the flack is unjust. And the only reason they're receiving flack for it is because of speed paints. Now, I'm a fan of speed paints. I don't use any at this time. I'm not opposed to using them, though. But you see a lot of artists that do it the traditional way like I do, giving other artists grief because they're zenithal priming their model solely because they like the aesthetic it gives off. I'll show you what I mean by that here in 1 second. Because we zenithal prime. This entire model is zenithal primed and then washed. So if you look at those wings, you can see the gradient of the dark. Like where's that part? Right here's already been painted. And I can see where I painted it. But because it's so dark there, you cannot tell that I've already painted it. I'm just doing another one over because it is so dark. But then you have the back, which is extremely bright compared to the front. That is what I'm going for with this entire miniature, is showing the detail, showing the gradient. Harley, thank you for joining. Chi-Chi or Chachi, thank you for joining us. My apologies there. But yeah, as you can see, I'm traditionally painting this, but it was zenithal primed. So people naturally assume that I'm using speed paints to get that effect, when in reality, all I'm doing is thinning down my paints, like we should already be doing. Now, to thin down my paints, I just use water. Puzzle piece. Project Nerdy, thanks for joining us. Since we do got a few people in here, I want to go over how we're going to donate to charity. The Tiny Dinies in the top there, once we get that goal, that entire amount's being donated to charity. So far, we have raised $5. If I did my math correct, once we reach that goal, we should have over $100 raised up. Going straight to Fort Safe for Good, who's doing a pancreatic cancer awareness miniature painting competition called Fort Safe for Good. So Lord of the Unfinished Projects is running it. Details are in multiple videos of mine, if you want to check them out. And pretty much what we're doing is we're just going to make sure that we can get as much donated for pancreatic cancer awareness. So we're doing it that way. You can also donate by going to my Patreon and becoming a member. If you go through our Patreon and become a member, 50% of your monthly subscription is donated until January 1st. And then if you go to our Etsy shop and purchase a commission through our Etsy store, 50% is donated through there. If you reach out to us directly and ask for a commission, 25% after cost of materials is donated through there. So we do got several different ways you can donate. You can also go straight to Lord of the Unfinished Projects page and donate directly to Fort Safe for Good. Margie, thank you for joining us. That's all the red on the wings and the head done. Now we got the arms and the legs to do. I need to put a little bit more paint on this palette before we begin that. BS Creations, thank you for joining us. Okay. Coming along nicely. John, thank you for joining us. We're going to try to finish the red tonight, guys. But we might get off soon. Because we have been going for an hour already. Virgo, thank you for joining us. We are painting our miniature for Fort Safe for Good. We got one arm done. We got one more arm, the legs, and the back to do still. Because this back, what's going to end up happening is we got to figure out how we're going to twist it all the way around. You know what? I just saw that too. We'll do this part of the wing as well in that color. Because I didn't notice this before. There's a little lip at the bottom of this. Now I thought that doing the wings all like this would have been a lot cleaner than taking, say, the top all red and then the bottom all green when the arms aren't on the chest, and none of our other arms that are fully painted red are painted green, since the green's just from the jaw down. But with that, we are going to call it for tonight. We'll probably touch back up tomorrow. Hang on. Let me finish this wing. It looks like I didn't touch that up at all right there. This is what we got done for tonight. We got the wings done. And we got one of the arms done. What we're also going to do is, if you look at the head, there's some veinage right there. We're going to make that yellow, similar to how we did the top of the skull. Thank you, Dragon. I appreciate it. It is coming along nicely. It's going to be really fun once we start doing the greens and the carapace specifically, because like with all of our other miniatures for the Hive fleet, nothing is matching. So I got to figure out how I'm going to do this. I know I want the horn to match the scythes. So I've already got it kind of pinpointed out on that scythe where the red's going to go. Wherever that black is, that's where that red that we always put on our claws is going to go. And then I'm thinking of doing the same thing up here. And then doing it, because we're going to do the straight line of red all the way up as well as down. That's going to be really tricky once we get into this little area right here. But bear with me, there was one Nero Gaunt that had something similar to this. I want to see how we did that. Okay. Just a little different. I can work with that. I can change that around. to where that's all green. Or red and green. Yeah, hold on. Let's see how I like this. So this isn't a part of the carapace from what I'm seeing. And I already know I'm going to do those little claws on it as green to kind of match the Neurogaunt that we did before that had that. So let's see how that looks. So yeah, I like how that looks. I like that a lot, actually. So what we're doing real quick, because that's actually making it look more like lava as well. So this little piece up here, we're doing red. That's going to make a little bit of a divide between the red line, but it's still going to be there. And we're still going to have the green claws up there that the Neurogaunt has on theirs. So yeah, that works out perfectly. And with that, we are going to call it today. When we get back tomorrow, we are going to work on the arm, the leg, the back. Then we're going to do all the greens. And then we're going to do all the blacks. And then we are going to do the red on the sides. We're going to do the blood effect. We're going to do all the other intricate little details that we usually do. This one, also, I'm thinking of adding a second red line down the back, but I don't know if that'd be too much differencing it from the Hive fleet. But with that being said and done, we are going to end it here. Go check out our YouTube. Go check out our Facebook. Go check out our Instagram, our Patreon, which our Patreon, mind you, is doing a charity event where 50% of your Patreon donation or subscription is donated to PanCan. And then our Etsy shop, same thing. 50% of our Etsy commissions are going to be donated to PanCan. Then you also have regular commissions that you may just send me a DM and ask me about. That's 25% gets donated to PanCan. We have our Tiny Dinies up here for our live events. Once we reach that goal, that entire amount is being donated to PanCan. If I did my math correctly, that is over $100 being donated directly to a charity event. You also have that little blurb right there for the American Cancer Society. This is what we're paying for, a single miniature competition piece for PanCan, and this was our diorama piece we painted for PanCan. With that being said and done, I want to thank everyone for joining. Have a great day. Lord of the Unfinished Projects, you actually just missed us. I do appreciate that. This is what we were working on, though. With that being said and done, we are going to call it a day today. Have a great one, everyone.